This is Nadir Shah in Chicago, and you are watching my channel, Knowledge for Quality of Life. Friends, before I start my today's topic, I would like to give you this information based on my experiences and the scientific literature which I came about. And over the time, I've been reading a lot. So before I go into the detail of the testing, which I'm about to discuss today, based on the list I provided last week, I want to pick one detailed test, and I want to give you a context before discussing the test, that where I'm coming from. So it was 2005 when my mom visited a doctor, her primary care doctor, and I took her to the doctor for her annual physical in 2005. And after the recommendation of doctors, different testing for blood work, one of the tests was standard cholesterol test, which is generally lipid panel. So basically, they measure total cholesterol, LDL, which is low density lipoprotein, HDL, high density lipoprotein, and triglycerides. So these four numbers, after I took her for the blood work, lab results came, and we made a follow-up appointment. And doctor said that, my mom's cholesterol is quite high, and she's a strong candidate for statin drug. So I had no idea about, to be honest with you, I had no idea about cholesterol business and statins and all that. I always thought that, whatever the best we can get from the doctor, and doctor is there to treat us. And still, I believe that, doctor is a good partner with us in taking care of our health. But she was given a simvastatin drug, which is one of the a statin drug, which was 40 milligrams at that time. She started taking, and few years she was in, and she started from once a while complaining about her joint aches, muscle spasm, those type of things. And honestly, in the beginning, I was discounted those things by saying to her that, Mom, you are aging, and maybe it's part of the aging, because it didn't dawn on me that it could be because of the statin drug or as a side effect. So when few years went by, and then she started experiencing short-term memory issues. When I say short-term memory issues, means if I'm telling her something, or my wife is telling her something, and we reiterate again that, I just told you a while back or yesterday, she wouldn't remember. And this thing I notice frequently, and my wife noticed frequently as well. And then I started getting a little concerned, and I started reading the literature. So I went to each and every forum of elderly retirees, you name it. And I was trying to see that, what other people have experienced with this particular drug, whether it be any class of statin drug. So I came across three main components after reading many reviews, many complaints, many issues with people who have been experiencing, is muscle spasm, joint aches, and memory issues. So now I was reading this entire literature, scientific literature, and going through many things, I came across this idea that standard lipid panel is very inapproximate way of figuring it out one's cholesterol, quality of the cholesterol, so to speak, or complete risk analysis or risk assessment of cardiovascular disease. And I came across this test, which is also available in the marketplace by LabCorp, NMR lipoprofile. And Quest offers Cardio Advanced Panel IQ. They give you pretty much same information. I personally like Cardio IQ over NMR because it gives you a little bit more information then NMR. So at that time, I didn't know about cardio IQ. I requested my mom's doctor, NMR lipoprofile test on my mom. So when I found out the results, and I started reading it, and because by that time I learned how to read and interpret things, because my mom's doctor didn't know anything about NMR lipoprofile test. She just wrote me a referral, and she said that I have no idea about this test. So I said, that's good enough. I need to get this test done. So when I got this test done, and I saw the quality of the lipid in my mom's case. So remember that, when I say quality, NMR gives you a quality of the lipid panel, your cholesterol panel, and standard cholesterol test, which the four numbers, we get total cholesterol, HDL, triglyceride, and LDL. It gives you a quantity of the cholesterol. It quantifies versus the quality. So I was much more interested by that time that what is the quality of the cholesterol which my mom has. Now remember that cholesterol is a fatty substance. I'm going to be talking in very layman's terminology, so majority of the people can understand, and I can relate, because I'm talking in a consumer language. So the cholesterol is a fatty substance, waxy substance. Just like oil doesn't get mixed with water, it floats. Now cholesterol, each and every cell in our body needs cholesterol for building various hormones, because if there is no cholesterol, we would be dead, because cholesterol is life. Now think about it, that our brain weight is fraction of the body weight, but it requires 25% of the demand of the entire body. So for instance, if somebody's cholesterol is, LDL is, let's say 100, and if you lower 100 to 50, then 25% of the 100 which was going to the brain before, now 25% of the 150 is going to go to the brain, means brain is going to get less cholesterol. Of course, after some time, our neuro issues are going to appear as a symptoms, because brain thrives on cholesterol. You need this building block for the proper functionality of the entire body. So I was looking at this number, and I was shocked by looking at my mom's quality of the cholesterol. So just to give you an example, that my mom's total cholesterol was 300. Okay, total cholesterol was 300. Her LDL was 196, which is, so to speak, people call it a bad name or bad repo, like bad cholesterol. There's no good cholesterol and there is no bad cholesterol. These are all particles. And that's the first misconception, that when you quantify, you measure the cholesterol, versus when you see the quality, you look at the particles. So basically, just like I give you an example that oil doesn't get mixed with the water, it just remains float, and and it cannot move from point A to point B, because our liver generates 75 to 80% of the cholesterol's body demands. Even though if I don't eat anything, just live off water, our liver is, nature has designed in such a way that it's going to produce 75% to 80% of the cholesterol bodies need for the proper functionality. Now, if that cholesterol wants to move from the liver to different cellular levels, of course, it's not going to go by itself, because it's a waxy substance, and blood being a liquid medium, it has to move from point A to point B at the cellular level through some mechanism, and that mechanism nature has devised in the particle packaging form. So these particles carry the cholesterol and moves from the blood medium from point A to point B. Now, these particles comes in variety of shapes, forms, like small particles, medium-sized particles, large particles. So think of this as an example that, I would give you an analogy that if you have 100 passenger, and you want to take from point A to point B through the express highway system, what would you prefer? Put all the 100 passenger in one big bus and move from point A to point B, or move all the 100 passenger in single carrying passenger car and take the 100 cars. So the probability of having a congestion in moving 100 cars from point A to point B, it's much more than the probability of moving a bus carrying 100 passenger from point A to point B. So it means that the smaller the particles, it's problematic, okay? Because, what we call, atherosclerosis, the building of the plaque, of course, there are many parameters goes in building of the plaque. It's not just a small particles. A small particle is just one risk. So what we are doing from going onwards, that identify those risks to calibrate the proper risk analysis of the CVD profile. Not by just quantifying the numbers of LDL, triglyceride, total cholesterol, and HDL. So this test is all about that. How many particles I'm carrying in my highway system, for moving my cholesterol at the cellular level, right? So let me share my screen with you. So if you look at it, this Cardio IQ Advanced Panel, you see that there are three categories here: optimal, moderate, high. It may be very small, but that's the best I can get. This picture, I just copied it, saved it from their Quest website. You can go to that website and see yourself. On the left column, you see the total cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, triglyceride, LDL cholesterol, cholesterol over HDL ratio, and non-HDL cholesterol. This is a standard panel. This test gives you that information as well. And here in the middle, you have optimal range, moderate, and high. So optimal is green, moderate is yellow, and high is being red. And these are the references, reference range for being optimal, being moderate, and in the high category. So if somebody is in optimal range, that will be green. If somebody is in the moderate range, it will be yellow. And somebody is in the high range, which is sort of an alert sign, that would pop up in red column. So, and then left side, you have a lipoprotein subfractions, means those particles I was talking about. How many small particles you have, how many large particles you have, how many medium-sized particles you have, right? And then you have a apoprotein, apolipoprotein. These are the different types of apolipoprotein B. This is another risk factor, which one has to look for. And then lipoprotein A, which we normally call little LPA, so to speak. Now, this little LPA is a genetic variant, so you don't have to test it every year, but it comes as a panel of the advanced IQ, and it's there, but it's not going to change much, because we have inherited either from mom or dad. So basically, I would say that if somebody has a strong family history of heart disease or stroke, I would strongly say that this test is a must, because you need to know that what genetic predisposition one has by LP little a, right? So here you see this, this person is in the moderate range. Anything less than 75, I believe this is a nanomoles per liter, and it can be measured in milligrams per deciliter. So they have a different set of ranges. And this is a good number to track it down, that, if it doesn't change by much, but if somebody is in the high category, there's no drug as such yet, but I think recently I read somewhere that Amgen, one of the biotech company who are working on this drug, which will lower Lp(a), because Lp(a) is a very atherogenic in nature. If somebody's little Lp(a) is high, then the plaque formation can be on an accelerated track. So one has to watch this number very carefully. The next one is HSCRP, high sensitive CRP protein. That's a marker for inflammation, which I spoke last time as well. And then LP-PLA2 activity. This is also another risk factor for CVD, cardiovascular disease. And then if I go to the next page, then you have an insulin resistance marker. This is another test, which is insulin resistance panel. What it does, that it tracks three numbers here: insulin, which is a fasting insulin, then C-peptide, which is the measure of how one's pancreas is doing as far as insulin management is concerned, and then it takes both into consideration, and it spits out insulin resistance score. So this score is anything from insulin sensitive is 1 to 33. Anything between 33 and 66 is moderate, and anything above 66 to 100 is insulin resistance. So if somebody is in the range of 1 to 33, then the person can be defined as insulin sensitive, which we are targeting, and anything between 33 and 66 is probably, I would say, that pre-diabetic condition. And anything above 66 and 100, if the score is like this person is 86, so I'm sure that the person is in the diabetic range. So if you look at this number, again, what I was telling you earlier, that standard lipid panel doesn't give you a whole lot, because if you look at this person's test, from the total cholesterol criteria and HDL, and triglyceride, everything is in green, optimal range. But if you look at the small particles, it tells you the whole different story. This person is generating too many small dense particles. Now, I'm not going to talk about how did I control that. I'll give you an example that I gave you an example of my mom's case. And my case was totally different. My cholesterol was always under 200 since 1989. When I did my mom's NMR and particles distribution, I ran mine, I ran my both kids, I ran my wife, everybody's. I was one of the worst in the particle size distribution. I was one of the worst one can imagine. So my total cholesterol was 177. Everything was fine, but my baseline, my HDL was 27 only. And my baseline triglyceride was around 95, which was okay because, it was less than 150. So I was good. I was in the good books with the doctor. But when I saw my NMR number, I was shocked. That all these years, that my NMR number, my small dense particle was 666. Okay, this number, small dense particle, small LDL particles was 666. And in my mom's case, when my mom's total cholesterol was 300, my mom's number was less than 90. That was the lowest one can get. So it means that my mom's profile, quality-wise, one of the best, even though her quantity was totally 300, but she was on the good side of the, and this test gives one the cumulative size, because, you see that here, the small particles, medium particles, large particles, and then total number of particles. How many vehicles are running in my arterial system, right? So it gives a person a cumulative size, accounting all these variants of small, medium, and large. It gives you a cumulative size of the particle, means type A or type B. They call it in the scientific literature as phenotype A or phenotype B. We always try to envy that our particle size should be phenotype A, not the phenotype B. Phenotype B is like small golf balls, and phenotype A is like a basketball. So the chances of small balls piercing through the arterial system when they move and getting oxidized is pretty high than the large particles, because oxidation happens because of the residence time, that how many what is the duration of these small particles remaining in the arterial system, particularly when someone's HDL is low. Because what HDL does, that HDL does the cleaning mechanism. It brings the unutilized cholesterol, brings back to the liver and recycles it. So in my case, my HDL in the beginning, was 27 only, and my recycling was not done quite well. It means that my particles were floating around in my arterial system quite long than it should be, right? So if they're remaining in the blood for a long time, it's not going back to the liver for recycling. Guess what? It's going to get oxidized, and particularly the small dense particles are much more prone to oxidize because of the low surface area. Remember that, from science, the smaller the diameter of the particle, the smaller the surface area is. The greater the diameter of the particle, the greater the surface area is. So it's a surface area, problem. So you want to change that size of the particles towards the large side. Now, this is what we control. I'm not going to discuss how I fixed mine. Hopefully in the next vlogs, I'll be discussing, when I'm going to be discussing the lifestyle changes which I made. So I went to the doctor to see one of the leading cardiologists who deals in dyslipidemia in the Midwest. And I went to see him to give me some guidance. And when he looked at my NMR lipoprofile, and even though I was under 200, he offered me a statin drug. So I asked the doctor that, is there anything that I can do to, change the quality of the cholesterol through my lifestyle? Because, I have read some stuff by that time, but I didn't have the complete grasp of it. And I was seeking this help from one of the leading doctor in the Midwest entire. And he was out of the network, and I made an appointment with him. And it was tough to make an appointment with him, and he couldn't offer me any lifestyle changes. He was strictly, giving me a statin drug. And I said that, if I needed a statin drug, I could have asked my primary care doctor. So let me stop share screen here. And I said that, if I want to change my lifestyle and make quality of the cholesterol a little bit better, I can lower my small dense particles and improve my lipid panel. And he said that, Mr. Shah, you can't do anything. This is the last resort, that you have to take the statin drug. And I said that, okay, if I will see what I can do, I will take some time. And if I need the statin drug to continue with, I will ask my primary care doctor to give me a statin drug and go from there. So I never took any statin drug till today. And my total quality of the cholesterol is upside down. I lowered my, small dense particle from 666 to 182. That's close to 70% drop. And this is through only lifestyle changes, nothing else. And I raised, I discussed my HDL move in the previous videos, that it raised from 27 to 58, and my ratios were quite in the optimal range now. And this is the best test one can do, to see the proper context of one's risk. Because if you quantify just by HDL, LDL, triglyceride, and total cholesterol, you are missing the boat. You are not looking in the entire picture, because we need to see the entire picture, and there are many more things to see the entire picture. This is just one test we are discussing today. So I hope that you got some message from here, that rather than quantifying your cholesterol, one should look for the quality of the cholesterol, and totally quality is controlled by you, your lifestyle, your diet. And hopefully in the next vlogs, we'll talk about what did I do actually to lower my small dense particle and improve the overall profile of my quality. If you have any particular questions regarding what I said, please put in the comment, and I'll try to address it next vlogs. The more questions you are going to ask, it's going to clarify based on my reading if I can share something more, because I try to limit this vlog as much as possible, because there's so much to give you than I have on my hand, but this is the limited time, and I hope that if you can bullet point in your comments the questions which is pertaining to the information which I am sharing with you here. I will try to elaborate a little bit in the next forthcoming vlogs by just taking few questions and expand on it. Hopefully see you next time.